Hello and welcome to the Ramon. Do it again. You're looking down at your feet or something.
All right, here we go. Here we go. I'm up now. Look at me.
Hello.
See? If players mess up. There we go.
Yeah. Hello and welcome to the Ramon Foster Shoe. What the?
You should have just rolled with me looking down, DK.
Hello and welcome to the Ramon Foster Show, brought to you by the Get-Go Cafe and Market, where they are open for business 24/7, serving hot, fresh food. Mon, happy Wednesday to you.
Hump day. Yes, it is a happy Wednesday, okay? We're here together.
If only everyone could see the material that makes it onto the cutting room floor as we try to navigate through these intros. Maybe we'll have to put some of those online.
And you know what? You'll have to buy a ticket. Did you buy a ticket?
A ticket?
To the gun show.
Oh, no! Hook, line, and sinker.
I got him good.
Oh, he did. This is what happens when your former NFL offensive lineman shows up for the podcast, like just right off the workout. Like, what am I doing next? Oh yeah, podcast.
Yeah.
Mon, let's talk a little bit about someone else who's capable of quite the gun show. In the Steelers locker room, and that's Cam Heyward, one of your favorite subjects, because nobody knows the guy better than the guy who would have been opposing him in practice for a decade and change. And Cam is so much fun when it comes to social media, but not the way you normally think. He's not like in the juju sense. Cam gets righteously indignant when he feels slighted, and he has no problem bringing it up, which is a crazy thing for a guy who really isn't, how do I put this? He's not like Mr. Ego or something. Yeah.
It's
what's this latest one, Mon? Because I haven't actually read up on it.
So Jeremy Fowler releases and I think this may be his second or third year doing it, where he's ranking the NFL top 10 defensive tackles. He does every position. It's done by execs, coaches, players pick the best interior pass rusher / run stopper, and they have a top 10 list. Mind you, we're talking top 10. This ain't NFL 100. This is top 10 at your position.
And also, it's worth pointing out here, first of all, we really like Jeremy. Jeremy, ESPN, covers the Steelers, does a terrific job. Good dude, okay?
Yes.
This is not Jeremy's list. No. Jeremy didn't make the list. Jeremy compiled it based on information. Just so we're clear here, this isn't just random guy, reporter just coming up with a list.
No, it's not. So with that being said, the list goes, and I'll read up to Cam. No, I'll give the top 10. I'll go ahead and give 10 real quick. Aaron Donald's 1, Jeffrey Simmons 2, Chris Jones 3, DeForest Buckner 4, Cameron Hayward 5. Cam's 5. Those 4 named before him ain't bad, and Cam could be intertwined between those guys, wherever you want to put them. 6 is Kenny Clark, solid. 7, Vita Vea. 8, Eric Armstead. 9, Grady Jarrett. And 10, Jonathan Allen. Very solid group.
It really is. And here's the thing. Cam makes no sense. Okay? Meaning Cam's performance level, his existence in a lot of ways makes no sense.
No.
I don't think any of us would dispute, and I'm pretty sure that you would agree with this, that Cam Heyward's best season in the NFL was the one he just had.
Yes, sir.
In 2021.
Yes,
now,
sir.
Cam will, and I pushed him on this, you know how he doesn't like to say positive things about himself, but at the same time, he very clearly expects to be recognized. Yeah. Mon, this is an unusual personality quirk, is it not?
It is. And one of the first 2 sentences of his write-up read this. As you just said, you said you hadn't seen it, and I believe you, DK. So you could be an NFL scout. It goes like this. Hayward's early 30 trajectory has been impressive. Look at his numbers and watch him. There is no decline at all, an NFL scouting director said. How he is doing this is beyond me. And I know how he's doing it. It's a bunch of hard work. It's a bunch of will. It's a bunch of dedication to the craft of, look, if I'm out there, you're getting it all. And I think we all kind of see that too. But for him, and he's had a little bit of a spat if you hadn't been on social media about, hey, don't poke the bear. Hey, leave me alone. Oh, who slighted me? Because the listing went, he got his highest ranking on his list was 3. His lowest ranking was out of the top 10. That basically put him at number 5 on the list. Okay. Now, if I'd have told you Aaron Donald, Jeffrey Simmons was ahead of him, Chris Jones and DeForest Buckner, you probably go.
You can live with that. Yeah. I mean, I don't want Cam coming after us either, but bring
it, Cam. No, damn that. We battled every day.
But at the same time, when you're talking about, look, I don't think anybody would dispute who number 1 is on that list.
No,
so from there, you're really talking about 2, 3, and 4. And if you're a Pittsburgh fan, you're probably not going to dispute Jeffrey Simmons with what you've seen him do to your own team.
No.
You know what I mean? So we're probably maybe reduced to 3 and 4, but then there's all kinds of other variables. Cam was the defensive line last season without Stephon Tuitt, without Tyson Alualu.
Yeah.
He was being moved to nose tackle just to plug the routine run. So he had to give in terms of statistics and quarterback pursuit and everything else here, and yet still had the season of his life.
Yeah, DK. And I don't think he's going to slow down. I've told everybody, man, that'll listen to me talk, athletes are weird, and you know this. Like, you hear like the water boy, what you say about my mama, all those types of things that come up in your mind. Like, that's why coaches harp so much on don't give them any material. Shut up. Don't say a thing. Give them nothing, because nobody dissed Cam at all. But it's a simple fact that you put him on a list, and I'll be honest, I probably think, well, they think I'm falling off because he was 4 last year, and you put him at 5. But let's just say, to your point, DK, Jeffrey Simmons had a catapult type of season last year. Yeah, and he wasn't even in the top 10, I don't think, last year, if I'm not mistaken. I know he was lower than Cam Heyward. So because of that, Cam got to move. And I'd almost say this too. I think him thinking of his age might bother him a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Because that was one of the first things they had in the write-up at 30 years old. Like that's, and I'm looking at Jeffrey Simmons, and his is, I'm looking at his position, and he's 24. He'll be 25. Last year also, he ranked to number 6. Jeffrey Simmons did.
Yeah, and he's not about to drop off anytime soon. So I see what you're saying here. But what I really hope you would share, because I know you and I have talked about this. I feel like I'm going to go there if you want me to before you say it. What really motivates Cameron Hayward? So
here we go.
What and I knew the thing. Because when the first time you told me this was a couple of years ago, and I was like, really? Mm-hmm. Really? Go ahead. What is it that really motivates you? I got sidetracked
in my explanation of it. But it's hard for a D tackle to get to where I'm going to say. They're overshadowed a little bit. How do you give them their credit? They really do all the grunt work, kind of like offensive linemen, except they do get their names called every once in a while. The one guy on that list that's for sure in is Aaron Donald. And what I mean for sure in means Hall of Fame. It means gold jacket. Cam ain't chasing the stats of it all. He's trying to make sure his body of work comes into play whenever that opportunity presents itself. And I'd almost say he wants to be first ballot. Cam could play in any era of Steeler football. Is that about correct, DK?
You mean to tell me? It is, except that one thing that Cam himself is careful to point out whenever these discussions come up is the 3-4 component here. Well, he gets measured against guys that are on the end of a 4-man front.
Yes.
Who have different assignments, different responsibilities, different expectations, and then in turn different numbers.
Yeah.
Cam is an interior lineman on a 3-4, and he's been that his entire time here. And even positionally, when it comes to, all pro bowl and whatever, he'll get like, where do you put him? Where do you put him? Well, that's not his fault. He plays for this team and this defense.
And this, unlike a guy like Chris Jones, who's a D tackle or has moved to DN at times. So you see the difference. Or Aaron Donald, who's a DT. You know what position he is. But not selfishly, but I do know this, and he won't admit it. Cam wants the gold jacket. If I can't get the ring, give me the jacket. And I don't think anybody can say he's taking anything away from the team, anything away from the defense in that pursuit That's why I'm saying you got to respect what he's doing. And not just that, the people who are the writers. Now, I'm not sure if Jeremy Fowler has a vote or if these execs have influence. But the fact that he's acknowledging, no, y'all put some respect on my name, I think was his ultimate point. And 5 ain't bad, okay? But we see where he holds himself, and I respect that.
When we come back on the Ramon Foster Show, let's keep talking about gold jackets, but as they apply to other players. Welcome back to the Ramon Foster Show, and continuing our discussion about gold jackets. Most of this was obviously about Cam Heyward. Let's take it further and have some fun here.
Okay.
Let's look at the rest of this roster, not the active roster, not guys who aren't in the hall already. Ben Roethlisberger's got first ballot. Hines Ward is going to be in the discussion for a long time. But looking at the current roster, let's give it a try. Even guys who are super, super young. Yeah. Let's go. I mean, there's an easy one to start with.
I want to start with him, but I don't real quick because we'll knock the other ones out because they got a case to be made at some point. I throw, since he's still relatively younger, Minka. I think Minka's in that conversation at some point, DK, just simply because the attributes he's made to the team, to the league, being all pro, Pro Bowl, being the highest paid safety, the plays that he's made, and not just the plays he's made, the situational plays that he's made will help his case, man, as far as the interceptions. I know last year was a little bit of a downer as far as what you expected out of him, but that guy that we saw in his first year in Pittsburgh is still there. And I think you get a calmer guy. I think you get a better situation for him, considering he doesn't have that weight on his shoulder as far as chasing the bag. Nobody will admit it, but everybody thinks about it when it's their turn, right? And I got another guy I got 2 more young guys before we get to their next phase, DK, and that will be surprisingly, and a lot of people are going to push back, but starting the way he did in his rookie year, if he can get to that point of being consistent and dominant at that position that I'm going to name, I think he would have an opportunity, and that would be Dan Moore. Simply because he's at that position, simply because if he grows more and more, hear me out, starting the way he did his rookie year, transitioning in to be a longtime starter in this league, man, I'd almost tip my hat to be like, if you can do this in your rookie year. Now, I know a lot of people probably weren't impressed by him, but let me tell you this, given that opportunity to grow, to kind of sharpen your skill set and play for a very long time, I would say a guy playing the left tackle position could potentially be the guy. And I'll throw this in there too as a bonus, with potentially a franchise quarterback on his backside, meaning him and Kenny Pickett's pairing. You look at the quarterbacks that kind of made it in, their left tackles kind of made it for the most part too. You know what I'm saying? Like if he can get more dominant, that's the case. But the overall #1 consensus pick on this roster, aside from a guy like Cam Heyward, is TJ Watt, and that's the most obvious one. I would throw Dan in there, though.
That's awesome. You had to find an offensive lineman. I know what's going on here. I will say that out of this group, the ones that I feel have the best chance, I mean, the obvious, again, that TJ is going to, he's lining up for, no-brainer, first year of eligibility. Boom, he's going to go in. I mean, when you start getting DPOYs and finalists before that, that's not even a discussion. I will be curious to watch and Cam. I mean, Cam is going to be in that lineage. Cam is going to be in a discussion, as they like to say. He's in the discussion.
He's in the discussion. Yeah.
And Cam can only further that discussion with more excellence, more records, more numbers that he can attach to his name. And again, like you said, not that that's his motivation, but the two concepts kind of work hand in hand.
Yeah.
The other one that'll be interesting to me to watch will be Minka Fitzpatrick because if Minka can, takeaways are a luck thing to a large extent, unless you're Ed Reed and you're just a freak of nature and the football just finds you out there.
Yeah.
And believe me, I'm not taking anything away from him. I'm not suggesting Ed Reed was lucky. He was brilliant at what he did. Okay.
Hell yeah.
But takeaways for mortals are difficult.
Yeah.
And if Minka can get back to being part of a defense where the pass rush creates enough enough tension on the other team's offense that Minka can get more opportunities, Minka can start putting himself into that dialogue as well. Over time, not now. Over time, not now. And the other one I'd throw in is Naji Harris, just because, man, you just never know with a running back. You never know. I don't believe Naji will do that because he doesn't have – he's not going to be that guy that gets you breaks away for 75, 80 yards. He wasn't even that in college.
Right.
Okay. But then, you know, Earl Campbell wasn't either. Earl Campbell made his, everything was boom, boom, boom right up front.
It was. And he was my other young guy that I had in mind just because, but I worry about if he's not a breakaway guy, his yards got to be high. And if his yards are high, that means he's got a whole lot of touches. And I love to see how that would extend or decline his career because of all those touches. We've even spoke about that once before, DK. But yeah, I'm not going, of course, I'm not backing off the Dan Moore thing too, just because a young guy starting this soon. Last person we saw do this was Marquise. And I think that same thing that you just said a second ago in the conversation of those young guys, nobody's done that. Kendrick had his shot, didn't pan out. Now, he did, and whether you like them or not, I'm not out on the fact that this kid can be a stud left tackle, especially with some of the people I know that's been close to him.
And he's so impressive off the field, too. Just such a terrific mind, ambitious, organized, passionate. We should do a whole show one of these days on Dan Moore. You know, maybe we can even do tomorrow's on that. How about that? Is that a deal?
Yeah, for sure.
All right,
absolutely.
when we come back, let's do the Hey Mon segment with someone who's here at the HQ shop downtown. Welcome back to the Ramon Foster Show. The only segment that matters is the Hey Mon segment. And for that, we have Doug Piper here at our HQ/shop downtown. And Doug's going to take it away.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Doug, by the way, I just got to start off first. By the way, you are first ballot Hall of Fame as far as name goes. Doug Piper. I love it. Okay, I'm putting that up on my wall real soon. The legend of Doug Piper was here.
Well, thank you, Mon. So when Zach Gentry was drafted, he was basically a tall, slow practice squad player who couldn't catch. By last year, he was actually contributing to the team, making some catches, blocking pretty well. What do you see his ceiling?
Man, his ceiling is very close to Matt Spaeth-esque. I think we realize that the young kid from Penn State is he's really good, and that's fine too. That's no issue whatsoever with having a young stud on your team. But just looking at Zach, I wouldn't call him a practice squad type. I would just call him he needed a little bit of development. I think you look at him and you say to yourself, man, this guy has the height, he has the size, he has the will also to get the job done. I look at him as playing a B role at the tight end position, and truthfully, that's what you honestly need when you're dealing with young quarterbacks, old offensive coordinators trying to find his way as far as calling plays. And the one thing that Zach is going to be able to do is be able to block a little bit too. If you look at the times in which the Steelers were good, especially during my era a little bit, you had the pass catching tight end, Heath Miller. And then you had a blocker, whether it be Matt Spaeth or DJ Johnson. Those guys were always on the field. You found ways to get them in the game too. And the value of a guy like Zach, it lends you to say, okay, he can catch the ball if thrown his way, but you're known as a blocker too. So being able to shore up the edge, let's go, defensive ends against tight ends. That is a real live situation right there, that the way we call offense with the tight end blocking some of the time, you have to be able to block. And Zach is so long and rangy, man, that he's able to do those types of things. And that's one thing I'm glad you brought that up too. We look at what Pat Fryermuth has done, and you just say, yes, that guy's going to be either really good, he's going to be a Pro Bowler, he's going to be a name that we remember because of his ability, his agility, and just the way he can make plays. But the guy on the other side of the ball, man, Zach, or when I played it was Spaeth or DJ Johnson, those were the guys. You're able to evolve your offense too. You're able to get in sets to where they can beat defensive end, the outside linebackers as far as running. So there's a lot of value in a guy like Zach Gentry, man. And again, I just want to harp on the fact that a lot of guys just aren't ready-made. I'm not all the way out on Kendrick Green. You know, sometimes it takes a little bit of humbleness. It takes a little bit of development and just understanding that, look, you're not what you thought you were, and that's fine. It's good having a staff that's intact and at least a standard in Pittsburgh that allows guys to groom, allows guys to grow a little bit and learn and get a little bit of knowledge as far as a team concept and playing in the NFL. Zach was kind of afforded that, and he has something in order for him to have stuck around this long too. So I'm correlating him to Matt Spaeth moving forward. That's great, right?
Yeah, that's fantastic. If he could be Matt Spaeth all over again, he would be a great number 2 tight end.
Oh my goodness! Now imagine that with Pat Frymuth. I think that's a good 1-2 punch, considering what the role of Pat's going to be. He's a pass-catching tight end that can also block also. So 2 bigs on the outside, they're an extension of the offensive line. I know they don't really love that, but they got to buy into that aspect of being team first. And Zach, I think, is going to be fine.
Well, thank you very much, Mon. That was a fantastic answer.
Absolutely. Anytime.
All right, Mon.
Man, top 10 names, easily, okay? For a lot of reasons. I'm happy, okay?
There goes Doug I was doing back out into the real world.
Out, and Doug Piper is just laying it down around here, okay?
Doug's waving from the sidewalk. His mission is complete here today.
That's our guy.
Hey, by the way, anybody who wants to ask Mon a question in person, all you got to do is come on down here. Mm-hmm. We usually record these around 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. And if you come in and say hello and say, hey, I got something for Mon, that's what Juwan did. Remember that?
It is.
Juwan comes walking in here. This was a few days ago, and he goes, hey, where's Mon? Well, in the cyber sense, he's right here. You got something for him? Let's do it again tomorrow, Mon.
Okay.